And welcome back to Big Movie Mouth Off. We are here, as always, at Broovy Cinema Pub, reviewing more movies for you. I'm Jeff Ice with Cinephile.com.
And I'm Jimmy Martin with Slug Magazine. You can find Big Movie Mouth Off on Xfinity Channel 6, also on the on-demand system. It's Utah On Demand, Salt Lake Alternative, Big Movie Mouth Off, tabs right there. Films, young and old, maybe you missed it in the theaters, it's Blu-ray, DVD, maybe video on demand, or still in theaters like this one right now.
About Time, which is the latest from hit screenwriter slash director Richard Curtis. You might remember he wrote Four Weddings and a Funeral and did Love Actually as writer and director. This time he's again doing a romantic comedy, but there's a science fiction twist this time. Donald Gleason, who's the son of character actor Brendan Gleeson, you also might remember he played Bill Weasley in the Harry Potter movies, is our star. 21-year-old Brit who's just discovered that he can travel through time.
What?
He was informed by his dad, played by the always amusing Bill Nighy, that the men in the family have the power to travel through their own timeline.
Your own time. You can't go back and kill Hitler.
No. But your own life, you're free to travel.
I'd say it's almost like the Groundhog Day of the timeline.
Yes.
You had to have been there.
You had to have been there to be able to rework your time, which comes in handy. But it turns out he's not really smooth when it comes to romancing women, especially the woman of his dreams, played by Rachel McAdams.
It's a woman of everybody's dreams.
But, as we have learned with time travel, there are repercussions to such things. So,
always
as
is.
they say, wackiness ensues, and possibly so do some tragedies.
And be careful what you wish for.
Yes.
My name is Tim, and this is the year that would change my life forever. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! I just didn't know it yet.
Tim, my dear son, this is going to sound strange, but there's this family secret that the men in the family can travel in time.
This is such a weird joke.
It's not a joke.
If it's true, which it isn't.
Although it is.
But if it was, which it's not.
Which it is.
How would I actually...
You go into a dark place, clench your fists, think of the moment you're going to, and you'll find yourself there.
It's going to be a complicated year.
It's going to be a complicated life.
For me, it was always going to be all about love. I'm Tim.
I'm Mary.
It's my mother's name.
I remind you of your mother?
Obviously, I should have thought this through more. Could you give me 1 second? I'm Tim.
I'm Mary.
I love your eyes.
Do you?
I love the rest of your face, too. Haven't even looked further down, but I'm sure it's all fantastic. I'm sure it'll be better next time.
Well done. Some people make a real mess of it the first time.
Amateurs. Some days you want to relive forever. Will you marry me?
I think I'll go for yes.
Some days you only want to live once.
I am so uninterested in a life without your father.
It never occurred to me that I might lose you.
I never said you could fix everything. Not without consequences.
It's so good to see you.
We've never met before.
Oh no, what do I do?
You have to use it to make your life the way you want it to be.
You know, this is a fairly heady movie that I appreciate that it establishes rules for time travel and then tries to follow them so specifically. And again, this is Richard Curtis, who's proven with things like Four Weddings and a Funeral that he can juggle multiple storylines. I just wish sometimes he would find a story editor and prune things, because there are few too many things going on here for my taste.
I disagree. I thought it was all attuned. I'm a huge lover of time travel, obviously, and so, but for me, you've got so many characters that each have their own little quirks, throughout the entire film, and you enjoy every single one of them. I consider this film probably one of the most perfect date movies ever, because it's written by, written and produced by the guys who did Love Actually, and I haven't met one girl who has seen Love Actually that didn't fall in love with it and watches it every holiday season.
Right.
They know all the lines of dialogue and whatnot. And then you've got the time travel element to it that any guy who pretty much walks into that room is going to go, this is pretty fun. It's fun. I like this time travel. So it merges. So what I love about it is that any guy could take take their girlfriend or significant other to this film and look like the romantic type who is, has a warm heart, but what he's really getting is a time travel film.
Now, see, while I agree with you, I always had this problem with Richard Curtis in that his movies are too long. And this is another one that runs 2 hours plus when it should probably run 100. And that's where I say there are things that could get trimmed, including an uncle who's suffering memory losses, which is a character that and a storyline that goes nowhere
I enjoyed him.
whatsoever. And surprisingly, the romance didn't completely work for me.
Really?
Yes, and
Wow.
I think part of it is Rachel McAdams, who, by the way, she's about 10 years older than her co-star, and you can tell. You can tell, and I'm not sure they have as much chemistry as I like, which is weird because that relationship, for me, father-son relationship, Donald Gleason, Bill Nighy, fascinated me. I almost wish there were more of that.
See,
and less of the romance.
And I mentioned Groundhog's Day. There are, to me, some similarities between the two. You've got the montages of, I'm going to do this so many times till I get it right.
Right.
So there's a lot of failures in it, and you laugh at the failures. But to me, this film does it does a little bit smarter, and it tinkers with time travel, in a way that I haven't really seen other films do. I like the, you can only go so far back after something major happens, because if you go back too far, then, if you don't go back far enough, then something's changed, Yes. I think it's smart in that sense. And I will say that I think it's one of my favorite ways of time traveling is to go into a dark place and close your eyes and squeeze your fists together and think really hard.
And then you're there.
And then you're just there.
and then you're there.
But I think there's a great relationship, between Gleason and his sister. To me, it's almost, it's definitely a film about family. And it's, family and consequences.
Yes, and it's his immediate family, to me, that's more interesting than his secondary family.
Yeah.
With Rachel McAdams.
And I think also, and I'm not going to ruin it here by any means, I think it has one of the most, important messages of life, at the end of this film of, like I said, not to ruin it, but be careful what you wish for, because what this, it's the old Spider-Man quote, with great power becomes great responsibility. And so do you yield this power for good or evil or at all? So
For your own gain or for others.
absolutely. Yeah. So,
It's very thinky.
yeah, which I appreciated
but it's got, like Richard Curtis's other films, sweet and funny moments.
absolutely.
And I know comparisons are being made between Donald Gleason and Hugh Grant. I think to a point, Donald Gleason is trying a little too hard to repeat those tics and nervous mannerisms from the Hugh Grant characters. He's got charm. He's a promising young actor. I look forward to what he has to do. Just tone it down a little. And get an editor, Richard Curtis. 2.5 stars for me.
Yeah, see, I'm definitely ahead of you on this one. I enjoyed it. It's one of those films. I heard about the time travel element, but then I'm sitting there going like, for me, I'm like, Guy from Love Actually, really? Like, this is, let's try it. 3.5 stars for me. I had a lot of fun with it. And again, it's something, in a genre of time travel, they found a way to do it differently. And I appreciate that. So there you have it. 3.5 stars for me, 2.5 for Mr. Vice. That'll do it for this episode of Big Movie Mouth Off. We will catch you here at Broovy Cinema Pub reviewing more films for you. We'll catch you next time.
Maybe I'll close my eyes and see if I can go back and watch it.